Clubhouse Row here in Philadelphia. Look at Tony La Russa on this cold night. We are under 50 degrees at the start of our game time, which will be around 7:06, 7:07 here in Philadelphia. Al Raboski, Dan McLaughlin with you. Actually, we landed. It was snowing today. Here's a look at the Cardinals lineup. David Eckstein will lead things off. Then Juan Encarnacion, the right fielder. Albert Pujols will bat third. Jim Edmonds is the cleanup man. Scott Rowland, his fourth career grand slam Monday against his former team. Skip Schumacher, Yadier Molina, Aaron Miles. Big day for him on opening day. And Mark Mulder in his second season with the Cardinals, batting ninth and pitching for St. Louis. Here's a look at Charlie Manuel. 88 wins in his first season, most for the Phillies since 1993. Our advanced auto parts starter is Brett Myers, a record of 13-8, a hard-throwing right-hander, Al.
Hard thrower. One of the adjustments he's made from his 13-win season a year ago is that he's throwing a lot more cutters. He seems to be working well with the Doobie, the new pitching coach out here, and he's kind of like he was a boxer in the Philadelphia area, New Jersey area, and he's kind of hard-headed a little bit, but they said he's working well with this pitching coach and getting good results. Defense behind Brett Myers tonight, brought to you by our friends at Auto Tire. Burrell, Rowan, the former White Sox, Abreu in the outfield, Bell, Rollins, Utley, and Howard on the infield. Myers is on the mound. Lieberthal, Mike Lieberthal, beginning his 10th season here with the Phillies, is behind the plate. That's the Auto Tire defense. Here's our first pitch, up and in to David Eckstein, and we're underway. Cardinals shortstop was 1 for 5 on Monday afternoon with an RBI, but everybody was talking about his defensive play to get things going for the Cardinals early in that game. A sliding grab, and he was lucky, Al, not to be hurt. Scott Rowland was lucky not to collide with him, and the Cardinals are just thankful everybody's healthy. That was the first play of the game, you know, off the bat of Jimmy Rollins, the leadoff man. Hit to Chase Utley, his counterpart at second base. One up and one down. So Eckstein retired, and it brings in Juan Encarnacion. It looks like Encarnacion will be batting second primarily in this lineup. And you know that Tony La Russa would love to have a left-handed bat in that spot, but it's Encarnacion, and he was telling Mike on the pregame he really feels comfortable with Juan in this spot. Well, Juan is a productive player. A lot of people would project him to be more in an RBI slot, say sixth in the Cardinal batting order. But to Tony, the second spot in the order is so important to have thunder. And you couldn't get a better spot hitting in front of Albert Pujols because you know you're going to see strikes. Encarnacion, the fifth different player to start right field in 5 seasons for the Cardinals. J.D. Drew, Eli Marrero had an opening day start, Reggie Sanders, and of course Larry Walker. Encarnacion has spent time in the National League with Florida, Los Angeles, the Cincinnati Reds for a brief stop. Albert Pujols on deck, and here comes a 1-1 pitch. Fouled straight back. He's going to see a lot of that right there. Fastballs, and he's going to get pitches to hit. Oh, that's it. Everyone knows where Pujols sits in the lineup, so the man sitting in front of him is going to see a lot of strikes. You fall behind, you see a lot of fastballs, and you can see that Encarnacion can hit the ball at the ballpark and drive in runners. Were you a little surprised to hear Edmonds last year talk about not really being at ease in the second spot in the order? I mean, not at all. You would think that might be the best spot in baseball, hitting in front of Pujols. Well, if you know Jimmy, he's going to want to hit more in that 4th spot. Not everybody can handle the pressure of the 4th spot, the cleanup spot. Jim likes that, and I think it's better off for him to be down in the order. But here's what we're talking about here now. You know, when you're getting to this point on a 3-2 pitch, not that you can guess every time, but you better guess that you're going to get a fastball. Full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Juan Encarnacion. Outfield shades him a bit to the opposite way, and he takes ball 4. And Myers stares back in at the home plate umpire, Chuck Merriweather. Ryan O'Nora's at first, Phil Cuzzi at second, Jerry Crawford. Tony La Russa's buddy is over there at third. And here's Mr. Pujols. What a start for him. 2 for 2 the other day with 3 runs scored, 2 home runs, and 4 RBIs. He, along with Rowland, combining for 8 of the 13 runs, RBIs, in the game the other day. Well, you know he's batting third because you want to see him in the first inning. That's also the reason why Encarnacion hitting in front of him, that hopefully get on, but have put a lot of pressure in the first inning. Maybe you can jump out to a big lead.
reigning MVP at the plate, Albert Pujols. Looks at strike 2. Myers wasted no time.
Well, he had that 208 strikeouts last season, so he's very aggressive, the nature of a boxer, and he'll go right after people.
0-2 the count. Encarnacion, a short lead over there at first. He can swipe a bag. Got him. 3 straight pitches, and Pujols is down without even swinging the bat. Rarely will you see that.
Throws hard, got a little tailing action on that ball, came right back to the plate. And you're absolutely right, but that's also the byproducts of pitching in cold weather. Hitters are almost a little timid at times of swinging the bat, and the last thing they want to do is be busted inside.
Now it's Edmonds. Picked up a big hit early on for Tony La Russa's club on opening day with a double. Just seemed to kind of ignite the club, just jumpstart that lineup.
Jim had a poor season average-wise a year ago, and even the other numbers are down. Walk year, but I think the Cardinals will take care of that, and I think Jim will have a big year offensively.
His next RBI will be 1,000 in his career. Hard to believe, too, this is his 7th season with the Cardinals, as he made his 7th opening day start on Monday.
Said he's going to have a good offensive year. Just put it in the bank. It's going to be a good defensive year, as Tony's seen him win 6 of his 8 Gold Gloves wearing the Cardinal uniform.
2 balls, no strikes. I think what's interesting, too, is that when he came here 7 years ago, the rap on Edmonds was that he won't stay healthy enough to play a full season. He has averaged, Al, 146 games played per year.
Well, he's one of those guys you got to stay on him a little bit, and I think Tony said, Jim, you want to be a leader. Well, you got to lead when you're in the field. And a generous strike right there. But, you know, if you're going to be a team leader, you have to show and demonstrate that, and you do that by playing every day.
3-1 pitch outside, second walk by Brett Myers. And this has been a problem for the young right-hander in his career. Control at times. And the boos for Scott Rowland. Scott Rowland is hitting over .350 against his former team, by the way.
Well, that's also boos. You know, there's not really a lot of heart behind that. It's a lot of good recognition. They don't really want to boo him, but they have to, because this is the city of brotherly love.
It's a ball low and away. Rowland, his 4th opening day start for the Cardinals. A grand slam, 2 singles, 4 RBIs. In 4 season openers, he's 7 for 17 with St. Louis. Here comes a 1-0 pitch.
And by his own omission, Scott will tell you he's not really a good early season type hitter. And what, 2 years ago, he clearly was the National League's best first half player.
That's outside, and it's 3-0. There's a very important man for Tony La Russa's staff once again, Jose Oquendo. And what's the scouting report, Al, on this outfield as far as some of the strength in those arms out there?
Well, Bobby Abreu has a very strong arm. Center fielder, Rowan, you know, he's a hustling type player. He gets the ball, releases it quickly. Pat Burrell, you think, is the left fielder, but he usually is up around the league leaders in assists. He has a very good throwing arm, but sometimes people will try and challenge him. And you know, Oquendo is very aggressive, particularly with 2 outs.
The 3-1 pitch is hit down the right field line and slicing foul. The product of those assists, like you said, are people thinking that you just can't make the play, and you do. You know, all of a sudden you're trying to stretch that single into a double, and Burrell will nail you at second base. Full count on Scott Rowland, batting in the 5th spot tonight with runners at first and second.
You know, with all these balls, the base on balls.
Rowland shoots this one out to right center field, and the catch is made by Aaron Rowland. Cardinals strand 2. The story for the Phils tonight could be that man, Jimmy Rollins. He'll bat leadoff when we come back and try to extend it to 38 straight games with a hit. First, no score here in Philadelphia. Look at Charlie Manuel's lineup this evening. Jimmy Rollins will lead it off. team record 37-game hitting streak. This is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Rowan, Abreu, Burrell, then Utley, Howard, Bell, Lieberthal, and the pitcher Myers batting ninth for the Phillies. And on the mound for St. Louis, it will be Mark Mulder trying to stop this streak. It looked like that Rollins was going to be stopped on opening day, but Adam Wainwright had a fastball on 3-0, and Rollins picked up a double. This is your Rico starter, Mark Mulder.
A very good pitcher, particularly the second half last year. And as you said, bullpen let him down. He should have been a 20-game winner. But let's see if he can command the outside part of the plate.
Fastball misses out and away. A lot of talk about Tony La Russa helping out Jimmy Rollins to get to 37. And he said, look, you have to remember the circumstances of the game. You can make it 38 now for Jimmy Rollins. A fair ball down the third base line. Rollins with his second hit of the season. 38 straight games for the Philly shortstop.
That took the final at bat on Monday to get that continue the streak after having 36 games to finish the season. Well, here he does it in the first at bat just down the left field line. Ball running in on him. He clears his hips. It's an in between Scott Rowland and third base bag. Down into the left field corner for an extra base hit. Charlie Manuel is saying that he's just easygoing enough and a talented enough player that he might really challenge this record.
He had the break in the offseason of the media pressure and the buildup of it. That certainly helps things out.
It would be,
as Rowan sacrifices,
it would be a record over 2 seasons. So it would not really break DiMaggio's 56-game single season record. But Charlie Manuel is also saying the talk about it is, think about this. 36 games to finish the season, and you got the winter off. You go to spring training, have to gear yourself back into game conditions and get ready to play again. So in some ways, they're trying to make a case that it's equal to, if not even harder.
I think another case you can make too, the specialty pitchers that you see in the game of baseball today, the closers, the use of the split finger fastball, much more prevalent, obviously. I mean, that's got to come into play when you talk about this.
Yeah, back when DiMaggio did it in 41, you know, you were facing most of the time 1 and a few times 2, possibly 3 pitchers a game. Or now frequently you'll face 4 or 5 different pitchers in a game, or 1 each at bat.
Here's Bobby Abreu, the home run champion during the All-Star break a year ago, trying to lift this one in the air down the left field line. Skip Schumacher over, runs out of room. It's out of play.
Don't give up on Schumacher. He made some great plays in spring training.
A lot of people felt, Al, he was the best defensive outfielder because Edmonds was banged up and didn't play many games, and that's why Schumacher's on the team.
And also because Jim Edmonds put a real stamp and approval of the way he played the game. And, you know, he'll tell you he's a good, solid player. He started making that case to his teammates and also to management, but he played spectacular, and he's earned that right to be here.
He had 281 in the spring, did Skip Schumacher, one of 5 players on the team to be appearing on their first opening day roster with the Cardinals.
I disagree with Tony playing the infield in. Talking with Mike Shannon in the pregame show, he figured because the wind is blowing that this is going to be a low-scoring affair. I never think this ballpark's going to play low scoring.
Well, we haven't seen that. Abreu to the opposite way. Schumacher is drifting, and he'll make the catch. Rollins will tag up. They'll score easily, and it's 1-0 Phillies. RBI for Bobby Abreu, who's 2 for 5 on opening day. Around the horn we go. A look at the defense for the Cardinals, brought to you by Auto Tire. Skip Schumacher, we just talked about him in left. Edmonds in center. Encarnacion is in right. Roland, Eckstein, Miles, and Pujols on the infield. And Yadier Molina is behind the plate. Here's Pat the Bat, Pat Burrell, former college star. He's really had one down year 2 years ago in the big leagues, and he bounced back in fine fashion last year.
He is a good, solid hitter, a lot of power. See the RBI production, 117. But Sometimes you don't get a second chance in this city. They get down on you. Sometimes they'll ride that throughout your career. Scott Rowland could maybe attest to that, but even Mike Schmidt can tell you when the Hall of Famer, they booed him frequently.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Pat Burrell. He actually has talked about that, Alan. He said he thought the city treated him pretty fairly during that season. I mean, he knew he was going to get booed. He's in Philly. That's going to happen. But he thought that they stuck with him pretty well. It's going to slice out of play. He really collapses his backside. You'll see that in the swing and gets everything into it. I mean, everything is. You get a look at Jimmy Rollins, who has now extended that hit streak to 38.
Al McRae was the hitting coach here in Philadelphia when Pat first came up.
Smokes a base hit up the middle. So it's 2 hits allowed by Mark Mulder here in the first.
This is a team that some of the Cardinal hierarchy feared that they may play in postseason because of the bats that they have here. They have some thump and thunder. And in a short game series, they might have enough pitching. Over a long haul, that's the question mark. Do they have enough pitching? But there's another, just won a great young hitter. You got 105 RBIs by your second baseman, 28 home runs, and a 291 average. All he wants to do is play. Forget about anything else. Just let me play.
Was 105 RBIs, a Phillies franchise record for second baseman. Remember, they moved Placido Polanco because of Chase Utley, the former Cardinal. Utley, 3 hits on opening day, was part of the World Baseball Classic for Team USA. Big sweeping curveball, just got a piece. The count is no balls and 2 strikes. If you're wondering about the longest hit streak for the Cardinals, 33 games by Rogers Hornsby back in 1922. Albert had one, a 30-game stretch back in 2003.
You know, I thought Pete Rose was playing for the Phillies when he had his 44-game streak. I mean, they say it's a record for Rollins, but I thought that he was a Phillies in '78 when he did that.
No balls, 2 strikes. The graphics guru is all over it, I'm sure. Cincinnati. Pete Rose with that hit streak.
Cincinnati? Okay.
It's 1 ball and 2 strikes on Chase Utley. You mentioned it during our open that Mark Mulder has a chance to break the bank. If you look at what some of the guys got this past offseason and consider where Mulder is and how he would fit into that equation, it's scary.
Well, the last 5 years, he and Bartolo Colon have won the most games in the major leagues.
Really took something off that breaking ball, blocked by Molina. Fires down to Pujols, and the first strikeout of the game for Mulder. Jimmy Rollins, 38 games with a leadoff double for the Phils. Phillies, let's take a look at Yadier Molina calling for this pitch down now.
Well, you see he's trying to get Chase Utley to chase. Glove on the ground, looking for that breaking ball, and he bounces it up there, and you know Molina's going to block that. Strike him out, throw him back first. I told you Pete Rose was a Philly in 1978. Just happened to be after the season.
Right.
And it was in December. He signed December 5th. He signed with the Phillies.
There's Skip Schumacher. Gets the start tonight in left.
What a difference in him offensively from when we first saw him last year. 3 different stints with the ball club, and you could see each time he came back up and then really showed in spring training the maturity, and he felt like he belonged.
And he shoots that one past the diving third baseman David Bell and out to left. So a hit for Skip Schumacher, the first base hit for the Cardinals tonight.
And 2 for 3 on the young season for Skip. David Bell, who's really had a lot of trouble with his back and his quads. Great defensive player, and this ball slices by him. Skip has a lot of good speed. He's not really a base stealer, but here he fights that ball off inside and uses his hands to shoot it to the opposite field.
Last year, Yadier Molina started 1 for 32. On opening day, he had a couple of hits.
And I think that first hit he got last year was a gift from the scorekeeper, but he is a much, much better hitter now.
If you're looking for any speed in this lineup for the Cardinals tonight, I mean, it's the guy at first base. That's Skip Schumacher. He could swipe it back for the Cardinals. Molina, contact guy. So many times you'll see a hit and run like that. A throw down to second, not nearly in time.
Well,
and a stolen base for Schumacher.
Lieberthal double clutched on it, and that's all it took. Yadier tried to protect him. Sometimes you swing at that ball up there, you disrupt the timing of the catcher. And if that was a fact or not, off with a pitch, but then when Lieberthal had to double clutch, it guaranteed he'd be safe at second.
Jose Oquendo telling me before the game one of the best bunters he feels on this team is the man at the plate, Yadier Molina.
Well, and you know, you saw right there, tried to go and shoot the ball the opposite field, try to get him at least over to third base.
The good bat control.
Yeah. The one thing I like about Molina, too, is he's one of the few guys that can catch up with good fastballs.
Like that. That's a base hit out to left. Schumacher will be held at third by Jose Oquendo. And runners at the corners to start the second inning for St. Louis. But Skip Schumacher had to wait to make sure that got past Rollins and into left.
And one of those simple little things, but you look awful dumb if you do not hesitate here and make sure that ball goes through. Once it goes through, you know you can come over. Sometimes you put your head down and you end up scoring, but more times than not, you look dumb, get thrown out at third.
This is where the Cardinals, Al, especially in the second half of the season, because they've done it so frequently, were so dangerous. In a spot like this, runners at the corners, nobody out, and a guy that can put the ball in play like Miles. Tony La Russa was awfully creative a season ago.
Well, Aaron, you know, the biggest knock on Aaron, switch hitter, and what a great start for him, is that he, you know, will never accept a walk. See? Bell, the third baseman, playing for the double play. They're conceding the run up the middle. But Miles doesn't strike out much. He usually puts the ball in play.
A one pitch. Miles 4 for 5 on Monday. 2 doubles and 2 RBIs.
And throw in a third extra base hit, a triple.
Schumacher and Molina on the base pass for St. Louis, first and third respectively. Popped him up into shallow right, may get down for a hit, and it will. Schumacher is going to score, and the game is tied up.
Boy, look at the good
base running there by Molina. He had to wait to see if that was going to be caught, and winds up at second base safely.
Well, Schumacher was, you know, he was playing it, you know, 50-50. But a tough base running play right there is for Molina. Guy with no speed and Abreu with a good arm. You know, there you see, watch Schumacher. He's playing out there, sees it fall. He can come down. But the tough play, and Abreu has a good throwing arm. I think he caught ball, kind of caught him a little bit and short hopped him to where he couldn't get rid of it. But I think his whole intent was to get the out at second base. And with good base running, Molina didn't allow that to happen.
So the first 3 have reached for the Cardinals here in their top of the second. Skip Schumacher, Molina, and Miles.
How about his third RBI, too?
He starts the year 5 for 6, already 32 pitches for Brett Myers. This was a pitching staff that ranked 10th in the National League with an ERA over 4 a year ago. Ryan Howard, the first baseman, is charging as Mulder looks at a ball low and away.
Well, you remember Tony La Russa so creative with his pitchers. And Mulder did not have a base hit in spring training. The only starter not to. But Ryan, the first baseman, was charging down. Then he kind of retreated a little bit when he saw that Mulder wasn't showing bunt. Bell's playing in.
It's ball 2.
Pitcher Myers is trying to throw the ball up to induce a pop-up, But now he's falling behind the count, and that sometimes changes Tony's strategy. The left fielder, Pat Burrell's playing very shallow in left because you got a lot of action. There you see the swinging away. But because Rollins and Bell the way they are, Burrell, the left fielder, playing in because if that ball has a lot of greenery where it could get into left field very easily.
2 balls, 1 strike as Tony La Russa will give the signs to Jose Oquendo. He'll flash him to the batter, and then the runners at first and second.
You would think with Molina they're going to try to get the out at third base, and you can see that's where not so much Bell retreating back, the third baseman, but Jimmy Rollins sprinting over there. You have a slow runner at second base, and you have this situation. They're going to try and get the lead runner at third because you know Miles can run a little bit. Mulder can't run, but it all.
And Mulder pops it up. So he can't do the job. On a 3-1 pitch, he pops it back to Myers. Runners at first and second. And with 1 out, David Eckstein will be the batter.
So look at everything here. Now Jimmy Rollins is going to try and get over here. He's going to come in here, and if he can, he'll go left. Remember, your pitcher's has got the responsibility here, first baseman here. But Myers throwing the ball up in the zone, trying to get the pop-up. That's exactly what it is. When you've got a hard thrower and you can throw the ball up, a lot of times you're going to produce that pop-up.
David Eckstein led the majors, a .373 batting mark with runners in scoring position. Lines out to the second baseman. There's 2 outs. The batter will be Juan Encarnacion. Encarnacion walked his first time up. Myers walked 2 in the first. So we're tied up at 1-1. Mulder allowed a run in the first. His offense has helped him out here in the second.
Yeah, but he's beating himself up
with the bunt.
That he didn't help himself.
Chris Carpenter was able to help himself on Monday with a base hit.
Tony probably is the best manager I've seen at utilizing his pitcher as an offensive weapon. Of course, the players help a little bit too.
Jason Marquis helps a little bit.
Well, but he gives them so much batting practice that allows them an opportunity to help themselves.
I don't know if we see other teams in the National League dedicate that much time to their pitchers to take batting practice.
The minute he came over from American League, he said if they're going to hit, we're going to use them.
Encarnacion shoots this one down the right field line. It is slicing and foul.
The wind is blowing from left field to right, so any of those balls starting in right will probably be blown out of play. But if you hit the ball low enough to left field, it will carry out even though the wind is blowing that way, because the scoreboard in the stands will block the wind. So it's still, you can hit the ball, a right-handed batter can hit the ball out to left field.
A ball and 2 strikes. They try to elevate. Encarnacion stayed away, and it's 2-2.
2 out base hits. Wins championships.
Was a staple of the team a year ago. Runners at first and second. Cardinals started this inning with 3 consecutive base hits. Encarnacion is robbed by Utley. Great play, saves a run. RBI for Aaron Miles here in the top of the second for St. Louis. Already his 5th base hit on the year to score Skip Schumacher. Good play by Utley. Saves a run, takes a hit away. We're tied up midway through the second.
This is your home for Cardinals baseball. Kick off a new era with opening day at the new Busch Stadium. The Redbirds are in full swing and ready to fly their way back to the top of the NL. And after a storied 40-year history at Old Busch Stadium, it's only on FSN Midwest that you'll get exclusive coverage of the ceremonies and pageantry leading up to the first pitch from 1 to 3 p.m., followed by the game presented in high definition. Monday on FSN Midwest.
Well, who's raising the bar? That's our question tonight. Who will be the Cardinals' toughest threat in winning the Central Division? This is brought to you by Singular. Text your vote to 42957. And we'll display the answer later in our ball game. Dan McLaughlin, Al Brabowski with you. 1-1 midway through the second inning, and Ryan Howard will lead it off in the Phillies half of the second. A St. Louisan that busted on the scene. It only took him 88 games last season to be the Rookie of the Year. That'll be taken by Pujols. He'll step on the bag, 1 pitch and 1 out.
He's a good hitter. And Albert playing back signals to Mulder that I've got it. Ryan Howard, boy, I tell you what, his manager fell in love with not only Ryan Howard, but also he had a chance to meet his mom and brothers and spend some time with them, probably on the chicken circuit, and said, what a class family.
Of course, Ryan was part of the baseball writers' dinner back in St. Louis. One of the neat things that he did at the dinner, I don't know if you were there, but he asked all his former coaches to stand up and be recognized in front of the big crowd back home in St. Louis, and a real classy gesture by Ryan Howard.
Absolutely. Lafayette
High School. Led rookies in home runs with 22, slugging percentage, second in RBIs. He had 63. And here's David Bell. He was greeted with some boos. He's going to get some more. 2 down. Friday night, get a look around the major leagues with the FSN Baseball Report. We're covering every team all season long with highlights, interviews, and analysis you won't get anywhere else. FSN Baseball Report, Friday at 6, only here on FSN Midwest.
Partner, I liked your contribution to that show last year. You're doing it again, aren't you?
I'll be back. Looking forward to it. Could be a very quick inning here for Mulder. And Roland comes up with a beauty, and he does. What a play by Scott Rolen. 3 up and 3 down. We played 2. And coming up for the Cardinals in their half of the third, it'll be Pujols, Edmonds, and Rolen, the heart of the order. And it's
FSN Midwest, where Cardinals fans come first.
Albert Pujols will lead it off for the Cardinals in the top of the third. St. Louis with 3 hits, Phillies with 2, and it's a 1-1 game. Pujols, Edmonds, and Roland for St. Louis. And Albert struck out on 3 straight pitches. His first time up as Brett Myers wasted no time. He went right after him.
Maybe the last time you ever see that.
I can't recall a time that's happened.
Especially with Albert thinking, well, everybody's going to show me respect. And, okay, you got ahead of me, 0-2, but you're going to waste one.
First pitch to Pujols. Breaking ball in the dirt. It's ball 1. Albert, 2 home runs opening day. 3 runs scored as he's going to try to lead the league yet again in runs scored.
No one's ever done it 4 years in a row. Albert's done it 3 consecutive years to equal Pete Rose, the last player to do it 3 years in a row, but no one has led the league in runs scored 4 years.
Al McRae was saying before the game, talking about Albert Pujols, he mentioned Pete Rose. He said it's a guy that you watch that never gives away an at bat. He said, look at our game on Monday. Albert came up. We weren't going to take him out of the game because he would have been upset. That's number 1. And secondly, we know he's not going to give away the at bat. He competes.
Vida Blue called me the other day, and he said something about how much he enjoys watching Albert Pujols, and called him. Said reminds him so much of Orlando Cepeda.
Any reason as to why?
I mean, I just took it as just a great compliment. But
obviously.
Just that, you know, the power and just the way he drives the ball, and just you know, anytime you have a name mentioned, another Hall of Famer.
Pujols gets underneath this one in the shallow center field. Rowan is there, and he makes the catch. Pujols is 0 for 2. Albert played in the World Baseball Classic, as he has a word there with Brett Myers. This is the first at bat with Pujols.
Saw that little tailing action back, but it was pretty much away. But watch this ball just run back in on him. A lot of times you feel that catcher, he's outside setting up, and you can jam yourself. But there was a little tailing action in on the hands of Albert.
I was saying before, though, that he played with the Dominican team in the World Baseball Classic. He had 286, and he was saying that he really wasn't locked in until about really the final 2 or 3 games of spring. Took him a while, but then he had the 3 home run game against the Mets, and he was locked in, obviously. A couple of home runs on opening day. That breaking ball dips in the dirt.
You remember that final game, Albert had a key at bat and really just non-Albert-like and lunging, going out in front of the plate. You know, it was an RBI situation. Basically got himself out. I end up being with Tony La Russa later on that evening, and Tony said that at bat is just going to eat away at Albert. That's just how much a perfectionist he is and how much he cares.
It also showed that the hitters weren't even close to being ready for the pitching that they saw. 2-2 pitch up and away as Myers has struggled with his strike zone all night. He's walked 2. This is the 4th full count of the night.
He's a big, strong guy, and it is a cool evening, but you don't want to go that deep.
Fouled back by Edmonds, who walked his first time up.
The opening day, remember, he hit his first home run. He looked like he was so mad afterwards. He was so animated in the dugout, talking things over, upset. Now maybe his bats are betraying him tonight. After 2 home run day.
Count of 3-2 on the Cardinals center fielder Jim Edmonds. Spoils another pitch. A lot of people believe if you can get past the first 2 in this starting rotation, Lieber and this starter tonight, Myers, you can handle the Phillies, and in particular getting into their bullpen. They do not have Billy Wagner anymore. He's with the Mets, and they've got Flash Gordon, Tom Gordon, who was the setup man for Mariano Rivera last year with the Yankees. He's now their closer.
Ryan Matson, I think, as Charlie Manuel, is really hoping that he will help out. Converted reliever that they're going to use in the rotation. But that's why this Phillies club last year, playing them in a 3 out of 5 series in postseason, they would have been a very tough challenge. 4 out of 7, the dominant team would probably win. But they have some bats, and they can play good defense to help that pitching staff out.
New general manager, Pat Gillick, who spent time with Toronto and Baltimore and Seattle. He really wasted little time putting his own stamp on this team with some big trades, namely Jim Thome to the Chicago White Sox, as Edmonds draws the 3rd walk of the night for St. Louis.
Charlie Manuel is just he's a fun guy to be around. He's from West Virginia, paid his dues, played a long time in Japan and stuff, and had that great run with Cleveland before he had some health issues. He's healthy now, but he's an old school baseball man.
Here's Scott Rowland. Looks at a fastball and a strike. It's our Ford Key matchup. His career against the Phillies, 21 games, a near 400 average, 2 home runs, including a grand slam, and 17 driven in. He was sidelined after July 22nd of last year. Just 196 at bats. 4, 6, 3 double play. And Rowland is over 2 on the night. 1-1 here in Philly. Right at the new Busch Stadium is in a Cardinals party room. The air-conditioned party rooms include beer, soda, snacks, and some of the best views of the new ballpark. You can log on to stlcardinals.com to find more, or dial up the Cardinals, 345-9400. 345-9500 rather. 345-9500.
Did you see any of the party rooms?
I did.
They're a lot nicer than the old ones and almost look like suites. But great vantage points. Got some tickets remaining now. These construction guys have been on the ball, and they've really opened up a new section there.
Well, we want to remind folks that it's not just standing room only left anymore. So there are some seats left the first game that you can get seats, actual seats, Monday, April 24th, Pittsburgh in town, and also on the 25th and the 26th. So that series against Pittsburgh, you can get seats as Brett Myers swings through the pitch, and it's 1-2, and then we'll see the top of the order. Also, the Prime Seat Club, the Cardinals want to make sure you understand that that's probably the best way to get tickets as well, and that's on the website at stlcardinals.com. The Cardinals ticket office at 345-9000.
They have some of those up there in the Loge box seats up in left field, that new area that is opened up for the Pittsburgh series. There's 300 for the April 24th game, 200 for the 25th, 100 seats for the 26th. About all the weekday games, those seats are available.
Full count on the pitcher, Brett Myers. We had some fun last night for folks that didn't have a chance to tune in on FSN as we opened up the new ballpark. Broken bat hit to second. Miles will take it. Myers retired. That's the first out to start the bottom of the third. It's the best damn sports show period, the greatest nightly sports show on television right here on FSN. Tonight they'll come your way at 10:30 with Rob Dibble, Rodney Pete and the gang. Florida coach, national champions Billy Donovan, also Braves All-Star Andrew Jones, who homered on opening day.
Mulder starting to set in. He's retired 5 in a row and strikeout, and then 4 consecutive ground ball outs. That's when he's at his best.
Day game this afternoon. Cincinnati held on against the Cubbies 8-6. By the way, Matt Morris will make his San Francisco debut tonight, pitching for the Giants.
John Mabry hit a pinch hit home run, 2-run home run off of Kent Mercker.
As I was watching that, I was thinking about the comeback victory by the Cardinals last year, highlighted by John Mabry. Out to deep left, and that is off the wall. Jimmy Rollins, 2 for 2 with a couple of doubles.
Rollins had some success against Mulder coming into this game, and a pair of doubles to show for it tonight. This type of ball right here, the line drive out to left field. This one goes off the wall, but you get one of the big guys gets that ball and it's a little bit further down the line, it'll jump there because that scoreboard and the stands are blocking the wind.
Aaron Rowan at the dish now, the center fielder for Philadelphia. Sacrifice his first time up. Rollins a threat to steal. He's at second base. He's led their club in steals a few times in his career. Rowan was originally drafted by the White Sox back in '98. A lot of people felt he was kind of the gutsy heart and soul of that championship team for the White Sox a year ago.
And he just picked up his new hardware last night as he flew in for the ceremonies, and apparently in street clothes got the loudest ovation of all the White Sox.
By the way, they are not in first place. It's the first time since 2 seasons ago they have not been in first place in the American League Central. They led throughout last year.
Well, they lost the first series to Cleveland. Cleveland beat them again today.
Right.
I assume it's 4-3 on the scoreboard.
Yeah. That was the difference in that division a year ago. 2 balls and no strikes on Rowan. Hit sharply to Scott Rowland, settles and fires over to Pujols. Strike at the letters. There's 2 outs. So 6 ground ball outs recorded by Mulder.
That was key there, getting an out and keeping Rollins at second base. Of course, with Brayu up, doesn't really matter. He's an RBI machine, just a hitting machine.
A lot of people felt he would not remain with the Phillies during this offseason, but here he is. All-Star season ago. Came up with Houston back in 1996.
When I first saw him and saw how ineffective he was swinging against left-handed breaking balls, looked about like that. I never envisioned him to be the hitter he's developed into.
I mean, that was right on cue, Al.
I mean, this is what I saw when he first came up to Houston. I said, well, they're going to eat him alive with breaking balls, but he has become an outstanding hitter. And that was atypical a swing of him wearing that Phillies uniform.
He's had 7 consecutive 20 home run, 20 stolen bases seasons. Bonds has done it, both Bobby and Barry. And Abreu, the only 3 in Major League history to do it. As Pujols will step on the bag, the Phillies straying a man. They left 2 tonight. We move to the 4th in a tie ball game. Chilly, cold night here in Philadelphia. Citizens Bank Park is Skip Schumacher, the left fielder tonight, will lead things off for the Cardinals. Of course, we did the ball game last night in St. Louis. We flew into Philly this morning. It was snowing when we landed. It was downright cold this morning. It's a little bit, I think, almost better right now than it was at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock this morning.
And the forecast is for the temperatures dip down to about 35 during this game.
Schumacher 1 for 1 with a stolen base. Be interesting to see how Tony La Russa uses Schumacher along with So Taguchi here in the first month or so of the season, if Larry Bigby is healthy enough to rejoin the club.
John Rodriguez right now is available to pinch hit, but a couple more days before he can play in the field. Tony, a guy that never was a regular player after he hurt his shoulder after being a #1 draft pick, he knows the value of keeping your bench players sharp.
Out to deep right field. Abreu back at the track, at the wall, and it's gone. Skip Schumacher puts the Cardinals on top. His first of the season, and it's 2-1.
Now this is going to be a low-scoring game, and now we get Schumacher hitting his first career Major League game. He hit 7 last year at Memphis, and he is off to a great start. 2 for 2 in this game, 3 for 4 on the season, and now he has his first Major League home run.
Fastball catches the outside corner to Yadier Molina. He singled his first time.
This ballpark doesn't play very big, and that's where it's really tough for the Phillies when you question their pitching to begin with. But that's a great thrill right there, and as we said, he's winning over his teammates.
Molina fouls it back. 1-2 the count.
Now you see the smile breaking out.
Myers was a guy that piled up the innings a year ago. 215 plus. Struck out over 200. Power pitcher. First round draft choice of the Phillies back in '99, 12th overall. Some felt he was a bit immature when he got to the big leagues and has settled that down. His emotions would get the best of him.
Well, we've talked about the amateur boxer. His dad trained a few outstandings and some champions in the world of boxing, but he kind of had that mentality of just, I'm going to go right after people. I can throw fastballs by everybody. He's kind of really tried to learn a cutter now and keep his emotions in check.
Skip Schumacher with his first home run in the big leagues has made it a 2-1 Cardinals lead as Molina strikes out. That's the first out here in the top of the 4th. Our Schnucks Dayton history. Skip Schumacher hits his first home run of April 5th, 2006, as Doug Stanton was working hard.
Oh, Doug. Might have been a little more impressive if he would have put that up before he came to at bat. But
it still doesn't beat Name a Met.
Schumacher and his family will appreciate it.
Yes, they will. Name a Met is still my all-time favorite.
Amen.
Any of them.
You could have got specific and named one of the 500 third basemen.
Which is now occupied by, at least the position, by David Wright.
Right. He'll be there for a while.
He's pretty good. Aaron Miles off to a great start. Base hit and an RBI in the second inning. Hitting a cool .833.
This is what they want to see him do. Now let's see if he can complete. You know, as I said, when you talk to any scout about Aaron Miles, they'll say, well, he won't walk. Can't walk.
3 balls and a strike on Miles.
That was good to see him to do that, because they feel that his on-base percentage would increase, maybe even if he struck out a few more times. But
he slaps it towards third, backing up David Bell. Low throw to Howard. It's at number 2.
Was it ball 4?
Very well could have been. Junior Spivey, by the way, has agreed to join the Memphis club, but he's got to clear waivers.
Yes. And they open their season tomorrow evening in Springfield against the Arkansas. I would assume they're still the Travelers. They're now the affiliate of the Angels.
Well, Jocketty was saying yesterday, because he was at the opening of Busch Stadium, that Spivey is a guy that if you look back and he was open to this, he said, I want to play every day. He said, I've got to play every day. I've developed bad habits, and the injuries have caught up with me over the last 2 seasons. I've got to just get my 4 bats in every night.
Well, and I think it's also a compliment to Junior Spivey that he agrees to do that and not just take his money and try to get more by going to another organization.
2-1 on Mulder. Mark Mulder had runners at first and second. And a 3-1 count. He squared the bunt and popped it back to the pitcher. Popped out for the first out, and the Cardinals did not capitalize thereafter. 3 balls and a strike.
A lot of pitches being thrown.
And he walks the pitcher, Mulder. That's 4 walks handed out by Brett Myers. The pitch count has got to be getting up there.
It's got to be getting up there, but 81 pitches. Almost on a night like this, you almost would prefer that Mulder would go ahead and strike out and get back to work. But not asking for a jacket. It's out there at first base, and they're playing behind him.
There's David Eckstein, 0 for 2. He is grounded to second and lined out to second. Looks like Myers has no clue at this point where it's going.
You say a thrower?
Exactly.
Right.
But he wears that familiar number 39.
All right, wears it proudly. He's got a pretty good breaking ball, and he's got, see, he's going to throw a lot of pitches over 100, but at this rate, it's about 5 innings worth. He may not even make 5 innings tonight.
I don't know if you saw this the other night, but Boston opening day, Kurt Schilling, 117 pitches thrown. Opening day for a guy that is trying to battle back and get in game shape and making sure his ankle's okay.
Well, they gave him enough time to figure it out.
All last season, spring
No,
training.
I mean enough pitches.
Oh, 117. Yeah, you better figure it out. He said it was the best he felt in a couple of seasons since he first arrived in Boston. 3-2 on David Eckstein.
Third consecutive full count, and I think 6th overall.
David, the 3rd hardest to strike out in the majors a season ago. A check swing, and that is ball 4. So back-to-back walks, and it brings in Encarnacion. And still no activity for the Phillies in their bullpen.
I think Charlie Emanuel knows they've got to go a lot deeper. Rich Doobie, the pitching coach. First saw him in the big leagues with Florida a couple years back, and then he was in the minor league system for the Phillies.
Let's take a look at our Aflac trivia question tonight. 2-1 Cardinals thanks to Skip Schumacher's first Major League home run to make it 2-1.
Aflac!
To start this top of the fourth, who will Jimmy Rollins pass on the all-time list if his streak continues to 40 games? That's the Aflac trivia question. Runners at first and second. As Rollins tonight, 2 for 2. He really took the suspense out of this game. Here following that streak, has led off the game with a double.
Be passing a Hall of Famer.
A Hall of Famer that, if my guess is correct, spent some time in the latter stage of his career as a DH.
Yeah, and also a guy that learned how to be a good hitter with his college roommate.
That sold it for me. I know. I should have guessed it.
Everything he knows about hitting, he learned from his college roommate.
1 ball, 1 strike with 2 runners on at first and second, and Albert Pujols on deck. Encarnacion is grounded to second sharply and walked. 0 for 2. Broken bat, little flare out to center. Rowan coming on, and he'll make the catch. Cardinals strand 2. They have left 6 on in the first 4 innings at the dish. Skip Schumacher with his first Major League home run breaks the 1-1 ties. 2-1 St. Louis on top. Cardinals play the Reds. It's calendar night courtesy of Budweiser, Bud Light, and Busch Beer. The first 25,000 fans ages 21 and older with a paid admission receive a wall calendar featuring the Cardinals for the 2006 inaugural season at Busch Stadium. For tickets, log on to STLCardinals.com and click on Prime Seat Club. Skip Schumacher with his first home run in the bigs, and it's 2-1 Cardinals. Mulder's gotten 7 ground ball outs tonight. Here's Pat Burrell. Singled his first time up. First pitch is a strike. 4/5 of the starting rotation for the Cardinals, Al, is due up for free agency. Some tough work ahead for Walt Jocketty and John Mozeliak, his assistant GM. I mean, it could be a situation where you let these guys play it out, or you can approach one, but if you do that, you have to be careful. Right. What if one guy, all of a sudden feels he's been disrespected by the club, seeing one guy get an offer ahead of another?
Well, things like that take care of themselves, but they are going to change team policy, and they're going to negotiate with some of these potential free agents during the season. Home plate umpires asked to see the ball and take it out of play.
That's a couple times now I've seen Mulder do it, and Myers kind of just fiddle with the mound after they've completed their delivery. And he did so after that last pitch. Here comes the 3-1. Now time is called. In some ways, it's a good problem to have when you got these guys motivated in their contract years. You could be seeing the best that they're going to give.
Well, you can see that, and I think they're all very, very close. And I think they're professional enough to where they're going to understand that there is a pecking order, and it's not that anybody's going to be slighted, but you have to take care of priorities. And
out to left field, should be handled by Schumacher. For the first out, I was visiting with Jeff Suppan before the game, and I said, how come you don't ever wear a microphone during our Fox broadcast? He said, no. He said, we won't do that. He said, our pitching staff just won't do that. He said, we're a tight-knit group. He said, we kind of do our own thing, but we have the quiet competition among each other.
Well, and I think in fairness to them, too, is they really are in tune to what's going on And they're out there trying to talk strategy,
exactly.
and they don't want to give anything away.
And that's one of the things that he said, too.
You know, where they're out there, they're studying. They're not only going to, you know, watch and see if there's anything they can help Mulder with, but, you know, the guys that are pitching the next two, you know, tomorrow's game or the games of the series are studying hitters' tendencies. Watching how a hitter will react to a pitch inside. Does he look like he's looking for a ball there? Sometimes you watch the hands, you watch the feet of a batter to see if he's, you know, inching away from the plate or going towards the plate as you start the windup. So you can see they're really watching the batter.
They're talking about water or Gatorade. Which one would you like?
Well, no, he's talking about Philly cheesesteaks, you know, because Soupon, you know, the soup kitchen. Now he's going to add cheesesteaks. You see him steal the recipe today?
I'm going to find out on the pregame show tomorrow. Apparently Joel Goldberg was out in Philly today with Jeff Soupon, and they investigated the Philly cheesesteak. Who has the best Philly cheesesteak? So we're going to find out on the pregame tomorrow.
All I know is it looks like a bunch of grease to me.
Looks pretty good.
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Terrible.
Got to know the right spots, man. 2-2.
Well, it tantalizes you with that slow breaking ball, but diamond anniversary, 75th anniversary. Oh, man. You know, the food is much better at the new ballpark.
Nice segue, Al. Out to right center field, and Edmonds over to get it. 2 hops in front of him, and Chase Utley is 1 for 2 on the night.
Mulder is so good on left-handed batters. He usually holds them about a 200 average. So you see he adjusts to the off-speed pitch. Couldn't get him to go out in front there. Maybe strayed a little bit with the feet, but his hands stayed back.
That's a good job of hitting, considering that's the same pitch that he struck him out on the first time.
Well, it's all about adjustments. You learn, you see patterns. A lot of times you duplicate the same pitch you get a guy out with until he beats you with it. And that little single like that isn't being beat.
1 out, runner at first. Howard grounded to Albert Pujols his first time up.
You talk about here's an extra base and power hitter, and you got Chase Utley on the base. Cardinals, their interior defense is so good, but the one good thing with the Encarnacion, like Walker last year, has a great arm. Edmonds, you know, is strong and accurate, but Schumacher has a very strong arm, particularly for a left fielder. He can play all 3 of the outfield positions. He can play center field. He was out there. So the Cardinals' strength is they're all good. They can get the balls and they can all throw.
Howard was fooled badly on that last pitch. Here comes an 0-2. Just outside.
Had a good pitch. You know, you saw where Molina set well enough outside to say, hey, you don't have to throw a strike. You're way ahead. Try and get him to get himself out.
Howard took over on July 2nd. Jim Thome went down. Thome now with the White Sox. And Howard is the future here in Philly at that first base spot.
With his personality, I think they'll fall in love with him. He'll be one guy that they will give a little leeway to if they do that to anybody. Fastball in on him. Throwing the soft stuff away. Jump inside. Totally missing location. That's the one thing that Mulder really struggled with, was location. It seems like he has a little more life on his pitches. Breaking ball seems a lot better this year, but he's still not having the command and locating his pitches where he wants them.
Count of 2 balls, 2 strikes, runner at first. That's Utley with 1 down.
See if it's some type of a watching the running game there. Jam shot there.
Could be a double play. 4, 6, 3, and they got him. Double play. Took a while for Miles to shuffle to Eckstein, and David hung in there with Utley bearing down. 2-1 Cardinals as we enter the
show period tonight on FSN.
Let's take a look at tonight's hot pitch of the game. It's brought to you by Hardee's.
Remember, they're trying to get in on him and jam him, and there it is. Up above the hands, locking up a power hitter. A little weak ground ball. Little trouble with the shovel pass, not real direct, but David Eckstein, as tough as nails, stays right in there and completes the double play. Almost close enough where he could have pushed it to him a little more overhand than trying to make the long toss underhand. But you see David, he'll stay over there and battle you, and just, you know, you want to play hardball with him, he'll play right back.
Pujols, Edmonds, and Rolen for the Cardinals here in their half of the fifth. They lead at 2-1, 4 hits aside. Pujols tonight is 0 for 2. He struck out looking his first time and fly to center. His second time up. Mulder has had 11 times first pitch strikes tonight. We haven't seen that very much from Brett Myers. He's been pitching from behind in the count. The 0-1. Albert out in front, pops it up. Lieberthal will give it a look behind home plate, out of play.
Albert sure looking a little bit out of sync today, but and cold weather, that'll do it to a lot of hitters, but you know how dangerous he is. Anytime you think you own him, he'll tell you differently.
He'll come right back and bite you. .330 average a year ago, 41 home runs, 117 RBIs. Pujols down the left field line. That one is number 3 for Albert.
He bites you.
3-1 Cardinals on Pujols' third of the season. An 0-2 mistake by Myers.
Albert is so dangerous. You know, we talked about how you set up Howard to try and go inside. Everybody thinks they can go inside to Albert Pujols, and there are times when that ball is even really up and in on him, and he'll tomahawk balls and hit them out. He is such a good. You set up away and see how that ball's just coming right in. Seen that replay almost, you know, 50 times already from Albert.
Edmonds to the opposite way. Pat Burrell backing up near the track, and he makes the catch for the first out here in the top of the fifth.
Think they can get in on him, and look at that, how he can get on top of a ball that's up above his shoulders and hit just a laser. That's what's incredible. As a pitcher, sometimes you'll throw a pitch and you'll see, okay, well, I see where the location is. There's no way somebody's going to get on top of it, but he consistently can do it.
Now it's Scott Rolen with one out. Out to right center, shallow. Rowan calling for it, makes the grab. 2 down. Well, I asked Hal McRae about it. Who does he remind you of? And he gave a kind of a different answer in Pete Rose. The fact, though, that the two are competitive. I'll ask you. I mean, guys you played against, you broadcast now a number of years. Who does he remind you of?
Well, it's not Pete Rose. I know where Hal's coming from, because as a pitcher, you never feared Pete Rose, because the only thing he was going to do is get a single. You know, he was the most prolific base hit, all-time base hit leader, but it was going to basically be a single. This guy hits him out of the ballpark, hits him with damage and RBIs. So
he never goes into prolonged slumps.
No.
Hits to the opposite field with power. Rarely strikes out.
Sprays the ball around. You know, he can make adjustments. You know, in-game adjustments. Pitch-to-pitch adjustments.
Schumacher out in front of the plate. Myers fires and handcuffs Howard, but he holds on. Albert Pujols, a leadoff home run. But the first one of the night from Skip Schumacher, his first in the major leagues. That gave the Cardinals a 2-1 lead. Albert made it 3. 3-1 St. Louis. Cold, chilly night here in Philadelphia. 3-1 Cardinals. Couple of home runs for St. Louis as Mark Mulder goes back to work here in the bottom half of fifth. And the first man he sees, David Bell. 7, 8, 9 in the order. Right-handers throwing for Philadelphia in their bullpen, and Myers is due up third in this inning. His night could be through. Bell grounded to third his first time up. The
David signed that big contract with the Phillies, but just a continuation of the back problems.
A lot of people believe that Nunez, out of spring training, should have been the starter, especially after what he did a year ago with the Cardinals.
Well, sometimes people believe that you can't lose your job to injury. David's now having trouble with the quads, and we all know that maybe over the course of time you're going to see Abraham Nunez play, and we knew last year he was a very valuable player.
Right back to Mulder. He's spin and fire to Pujols. That home run by Pujols was on an 0-2 pitch. And as you mentioned, Al, it's the in-game adjustments. And really, it's at bat to at bat. I mean, even inside the at bat, he'll make that adjustment, that mental note.
Yeah, and catcher was Lieberthal was set up down and away. That ball had movement on it, and it was a fastball, probably in the low 90s, and it took off going up and in, but yet he gets on top of it and tomahawks it for a line drive.
Mike Lieberthal is 0 for 1 tonight. Two balls and no strikes.
Gonzalez is in the on-deck circle behind Lieberthal.
Alex Gonzalez. And a base hit up the middle. So one out hit for Lieberthal. Myers' night is done. And the pinch hitter will be Gonzalez.
And right back up the middle and to the non-glove side, his throwing side, and might have been the difference of spearing that ball. Gonzalez is 6 for 14 with a home run against Mulder, so maybe that's part of the decision making, and his choice is the pinch hitter.
We saw him last year with Tampa Bay. He's been with Toronto and Chicago. People always talk about the Bartman play, but they forget the costly error made by the shortstop at the time for the Cubs, Alex Gonzalez. And it cost them there in Game 6 and eventually lost Game 7 against Florida.
Was it that foul ball?
It is that foul ball.
7-run foul ball or whatever it was. One pitch accounted for 7 runs.
Hit left side. Roll a nice pick. Miles turns a double play. The Cardinals tonight turning their second double play. And we head to the 6th. It'll be Molina, Miles, and Mulder coming up. 3-1 Cardinals. The top of the 6th will turn to his bullpen in this 3-1 Cardinal lead. Call to the bullpen is brought to you by Chevrolet. As Jeff Yadier, a right-handed pitcher, will come in. Turned 30 later this season in August out of Buffalo, New York. Selected by the Phillies in the 15th round of the '98 draft. Jeff Yadier, our call to the bullpen brought to you by Chevrolet.
The Moody, Illinois resident. Also attended the University of Oklahoma. Pitched on opening day, a couple innings. Was successful.
Relief of Myers, 5 innings for Brett Myers, the starter tonight for the Phillies. 3 runs allowed on 5 hits. He walked 5. 98 pitches. He struck out 2 and allowed 2 home runs. And here's Molina. Molina has singled and struck out. In the first pitch, a fastball in there at 90 miles an hour for strike 1. Molina with 3 hits so far in the young season. 0-1 pitch. Strike 2. Cardinals will play in a day game tomorrow. That can be seen right here on FSN. Jason Marquis against Corey Lytle. No balls, 2 strikes on Molina, with Miles and Mulder to follow. People believe that this lineup is not as good, and rightfully so, from the World Series team of 2004, even compared to last year's team with the pop of a Reggie Sanders or a healthy Larry Walker. But kind of overlooked in the mix is this guy at the plate. I mean, I really believe that Molina is going to hit around 260 to 270 and pop maybe 10 home runs. You know what you're going to get defensively, but offensively, you know, it's reasonable to expect that he's going to have a better year offensively this year.
Yeah, I think definitely he's going to be higher than 260, and it might even be a little higher than 270. But he strikes out very little. He makes contact. He can catch up to fastballs. He knows where base hits are to the opposite field.
Goes the opposite way this time. Taken by Abreu. First out here in the top of the 6th. What's on Tap is brought to you by Bud Light. That game again will be seen on FSN. We'll come your way with the pregame show at 1:30. Lido will go for the Phillies, and Jason Marquis will pitch for St. Louis. During the off day, Marquis went back home. Was born and raised here on the East Coast. And that's your What's on Tap as Aaron Miles digs in. Aaron off to a great start with 5 hits in the first couple of games wearing this new uniform in St. Louis.
I was on the Caravan with Aaron, and I asked him, I said, how would you describe yourself as a player? And he said, well, if they like Eckstein, they'll like me. I said, well, they like Eckstein, so we're going to like you. And so far we do.
Cardinal fans love the guys, you know, not real big stature, but they're scrappy. They play hard, get the most out of their ability.
You know, David's done his deal, but you see Schumacher now has paid a little dues, but Aaron Miles played 8 years in the minor leagues. You start doing that, you know, then everybody's naturally got to pull for you. Little switch hitter.
1-1 pitch. Slap foul.
You know, he's a contact type guy. Like I said, they sometimes criticize that he doesn't walk a lot, but they'll say he doesn't strike out many, but his on-base percentage isn't high. But you know, with the Cardinal offense, if everyone is doing what they're supposed to do, just if he plays good defense, that's all he has to do, and then contribute a hit every now and then.
Here's a 1-2 pitch right down central. Miles strikes out. First strikeout for Geary in the ball game. 2 away. Just joining us, the Cardinals have a pair of home runs. Skip Schumacher is first in the bigs, and Albert Pujols his third as he turned on a pitch so quickly, and it got out of here in a flash down the left field line.
Mulder's pitched very well. Had 1 inning, got a little trouble. 3rd inning where he gave up 3 consecutive base hits, but he minimized the damage and so only allowed that 1 run on 5 hits.
Here's a 1-0 pitch.
Sorry. 1 run came in the start of the game on the Rollins double and then a sacrifice fly. Thinking about Myers.
Got baseball for you tomorrow afternoon and then hockey tomorrow night on FSN. The Blues will be in action as Mulder shoots that one foul. Tough year for the Blues. So it's off to baseball.
But things are getting better for him.
New owner in place, Dave Checketts. Predators and Blues tomorrow at 6:30 on FSN. With the pregame 7 o'clock, they'll drop the puck. And John and Bernie will have the call for you.
Won't have to be juggling postseason schedules.
First time in a long time. Here comes a 1-2. Real special night. One of the positives of this season is the future Hall of Famer Al McInnes having his number retired on Sunday. Still lives in St. Louis.
That's great. He deserves it.
2-2 pitch. Base hit for Mulder. He's been on base twice tonight with a walk and now a single to left. He had the Silver Slugger Award winner in the Cardinal pitching staff. And oh, by the way, a guy that won the Cy Young, too. So you got some competition down there.
Well, they gave him a little razz, and he was the only starter not to have a hit in spring training. All the other starters got one. You better believe they have a little pool going, a little contest going, but some of them might not be real smart to get in there with Marquis.
Here's David Eckstein. David tonight 0 for 2 with a walk. Eckstein in his second season with the Cardinals. Signed a 3-year deal, as time is called, prior to last season. Really a quick pickup by the Cardinals, and he turned out to be one of the best shortstops in the game of baseball last year. You look at what some of these shortstops have signed for, like a Rafael Furcal, what he did with the Dodgers this year, and some others. I mean, the Cardinals get a steal in David Eckstein the way they played last year.
National baseball correspondent said it was the worst deal of last offseason. I think David turned that statement around.
2-0 pitch. 2-1 on a high strike to Eckstein. They shade him a bit to the opposite way.
Remember how everybody said, oh, the Cardinals overpaid him too?
$12 million the course of 3 seasons.
3 seasons.
He shoots that one foul. But Tony La Russa just says it time and again, if you surround yourself with guys that have won in the past, your chances are greater to win. He said those guys have been in those pressure situations. They understand what it takes. And you look at what David did from junior college ball to college ball, what he did with Anaheim. Foul ball.
Well, you know, you and I get in that little friendly discussion about 5-tool players. And, you know, here's when I talk about, sometimes I say it's he's a 5-tool player, but he can't play. Now, if you grade out David Eckstein, he's average or below average on all the 5 skills, and yet he's a winner.
Right.
He's a baseball player. You know, he's got the instincts. He knows how to play. He elevates people around him. He's just a spark plug. He's a winning type player.
2-2 the count with 2 outs. Mulder, the runner at first. They'll play behind him. Eckstein with a base hit into left. Mulder will stop at second base, and runners at first and second for Juan Encarnacion. And Juan has been in this spot 3 times tonight, including this one, with runners at first and second.
But yet this is why Tony likes an RBI man in the second spot. Somebody to do some damage. A lot of it is ideally set up for the first inning. But just think, if you can extend the bat to Mr. Dangerous, Albert Pujols on deck, you know, then everything starts clicking. A lot of crooked numbers happen that way.
Yadier, the man on the mound, is a guy that's been up and down with Philadelphia since 2003. He's had brief stints with the club. Last year he's 2-1. He pitched in 40 games. Juan tonight has walked, grounded out, and flied out. Ball's behind in the hole, 0-2.
Talk about responsibilities of hitting in different orders, but how about responsibility for Oquendo with Mulder out at second base? You know, in a close game, 3-1 ball game. You're in the 6th inning, and you know you got the pitcher running. You got to judge his speed, the arm strength of the outfielders. As aggressive as you like to be, the last thing you ever want to do is get a pitcher into a collision at home plate. And you hate to think American League Baseball, but root for the 3-run home run.
Sure. Here's the 0-2. Tied him up and struck him out. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Yadier. The Cardinals strand 2. They've left 8 on tonight, midway through the 6th. And St. Louis on top by 4. Back to the Aflac trivia question, as Jimmy Rollins will lead things off. If you're just joining us, he's 2 for 2, so he has extended his hit streak to 38. Paul Molitor, the answer to your Aflac trivia question, the Hall of Famer, 39-game hit streak in '87. That's 8th on the all-time list. And Al Rollins has really put together quite a couple of seasons here. Juan Pierre of the Chicago Cubs and Albert Pujols of the Cardinals. Those are the only 2 players that have more hits over the last couple of seasons than this man at the plate, Jimmy Rollins. I go back to when we were doing a game at the Vet.
I'm thinking the same thing.
And Steve Klein's. He gave up a home run as Rollins, of course, a switch hitter, and Klein was barking at him from the time he left the box until the time he got back in to touch home plate.
A upper deck shot, one of the longest balls I ever saw hit in the Vet, and it might have been his rookie year.
This one is hit out to right center. Encarnacion drifts over to his right and makes the play. It was his rookie year.
And Steve was wrong in thinking that he was flipped the bat and showed him up. But he stalked him around the bases and everything, and then she showed him the replay. He goes, yeah, I guess I was wrong. He didn't do anything wrong.
That's what made Steve Klein.
Yeah.
Aaron Rowan is 0 for 1 with a sacrifice. That was back in the first. He's grounded to third. Aaron Rowan playing center field.
Aaron Rowan, Charlie Manuel thinks the same as you were saying that Tony La Russa. Surround yourself with players that won world championships, guys that want to play and just think about playing hard-nosed baseball.
Right-hander getting loose for the Phillies. Good curveball that time from Mulder.
He's really pulled the string on several of his off-speed pitches. Sit there and see that slow, tantalizing breaking ball.
The 0-2 pitch. Pulled to short. Eckstein deep in the hole. Long throw makes the play. And at this time last year, that was a play that was of concern to the Cardinals, wondering about David Eckstein's arm, and we don't talk about that one bit anymore.
Well, we were told he couldn't make those plays, and yet every time he had to make a strong throw, he found a way to do so. Every time he had a relatively easy play, he'd beat the runner by a step. But they put him on a arm strengthening program, a lot what they do for the shoulders of the pitchers, and it has really helped him out.
Bobby Abreu with the RBI, the lone RBI for the Phillies tonight. 3-1 Cardinals here in the 6th.
When I say we were told he couldn't do that, that's what scouts for like the Angels would say. This is the reason we got rid of him. All we say is thank you.
Fastball misses outside, 2-0. Quietly, Bobby Abreu is in the top 10 all time for the Phillies in walks, stolen bases, doubles, home runs, sac flies, RBIs, and runs. Not bad at all. As he turns on that pitch, knocked down by Miles from his seat. He makes the play.
Eckstein-like.
Defense for the Cardinals started by David Eckstein with his play in the hole, and this play by Miles from the outfield grass. Inning is brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers. The Cardinals hit a home run in their half of the inning, then you will be placed in a drawing to win a free Hyundai. So you can register to win that free Hyundai in our long drive inning sweepstakes. Albert Pujols will lead it off for the Cardinals. He's homered tonight. It's 3-1 St. Louis. Our call to the bullpen is brought to you by Chevrolet. And into the ball game, a right-hander, Ryan Franklin, for the Phillies.
Spiro, Oklahoma native. Spent his entire career in the Seattle organization before signing with Phillies in January.
First pitch to Albert. In there for a strike. Pujols, 2 games, 4 runs scored, 3 home runs, 5 RBIs. That young man on the left has got the home run ball. Albert 1 for 3 tonight. Pujols rips it, and again he turns on an inside pitch. And it's worth noting again, Al, how many times we see pitchers try to go in on Pujols, and yet he makes them pay. There's another example of how quick his bat is.
I don't think you could stay any place with him. But what I love is you see a guy think he can sneak a fastball by him. And like you say, very rarely do you see the at-bat he had against Myers in the first, where he takes 3 straight pitches and looks at a called third strike. But Lieberthal called for a pitch down and away when pitch was up and in that Albert hit for the home run. One for 3, and just happened to be a home run.
Ball and 2 strikes on Pujols.
Didn't want the slider, fastball away.
Spoils it.
Yeah, a great piece of hitting there, as the pitcher throws a good pitch, hits his spot, but Albert just reaches out, flicks the bat at it, and gets a piece of it to stay alive. Fastball down and away.
Pujols rips it, a one-hopper to short. Jimmy Rollins gloves, throws, 1 away. Let's check in with Joe Goldberg.
Hey guys, outside here by the Cardinals bullpen. You know, Philadelphia is known for the Liberty Bell and cheesesteaks. Now, Cardinals starter Jeff Suppan grew up all the way over in California, but his parents are from here in Philadelphia. And so we sent on a mission today to look for the perfect cheesesteak, and he took his job seriously. He was an interviewer, he was a taste tester, even put him behind the grill to cook. He's got a restaurant in California called Soup's Grill that's currently under renovation. And of course, Soup on that menu has a Philadelphia cheesesteak. We'll have that tomorrow on Cardinals on Deck at 1:30.
Hopefully cleaned up the stash, too.
Oh.
Didn't that look good, Al?
No, it's disgusting.
It's a Philly cheesesteak. It's good
cute.
for you.
Hey,
It'll warm me up tonight.
you want some goulash?
No, I don't want goulash. I want a cheesesteak.
Well, I don't want cheesesteak either.
I'm telling you, that's good stuff, Al. You're going to miss out, but you'll find out tomorrow on the pregame. As Edmonds hits it to first. And Howard takes it.
You know what I want from the new
Two
ballpark?
outs. You had something that you were raving about the other
Yeah,
night.
portobello fries.
That's what it was, yeah.
Portobello fries. Now, how does you? Of course, you got to like portobello mushrooms.
I like those. I can handle it.
Okay, and this is unbelievable. Right back behind us in the Redbird, club.
They have them up there.
That's why I tasted. They have the ovens, the pizza ovens, where right there.
So you're going to be eating healthy all summer, is what you're telling me.
Yeah,
The portobello French fries.
fries and pizza. You can have your cheesesteak.
Up and into Scott Rowland. Rowland tonight is hit into a double play. He's lined out and flied out. Ryan Franklin, by the way, while with Seattle, was part of just a handful of major leaguers that was suspended by Major League Baseball after the steroid policy had been implemented. And he signed in the offseason with Philadelphia.
1 of 12.
2-0 pitch. A lot of people believe this is where you're going to see the steroid policy really hit the game of baseball. Middle relievers and bullpen guys. Not somebody, everybody wants to equate it with the power home run hitters, but people forget about the pitchers as well.
One position player. This was a few years back. Every time there was any mention, about steroids, they said, don't forget the pitchers.
Hit to David Bell over at third, and it's time to stretch. Cardinals go 1-2-3 in the seventh against Ryan Franklin. We're in Philly, and it's 3-1 Cardinals. Lewis on top here in the bottom half of the seventh. Still pitch by pitch, and this feature is brought to you by your Mid-America Chevrolet dealers.
If I was pitching Scott Rowland going up and in, the first one took off. See, you're trying to work him there. Then you come with a breaking ball, try to go back inside, and then a little slider gets him to roll over the top.
Mark Mulder pitching into the seventh. As Pat Burrell will lead things off for the Phillies. And Chase Utley and Ryan Howard. Burrell 1 for 2 tonight. First pitch popped up. Miles or Pujols. It's going to be the second baseman, Miles, on the outfield grass, and he puts it away for the first out.
Pulled the string on him, gets a dangerous hitter to pop up, but I think this is going to be a familiar theme, seeing Cardinal starters deep into ball games. You've got a bunch of horses there that'll eat up a lot of innings. Consistently, they're going to be going 6 and plus innings. Carpenter, when he starts, he wants to finish. But the rest of them are going to be right around that 200 innings, which takes a big burden off the bullpen.
Mulder's got 10 ground ball outs, make it 11. Pujols will take it himself. 2 pitches, 2 outs.
He's just in a groove right now. I mean, you wonder why somebody, like Milt Thompson, the Phillies hitting coach, doesn't have these Phillies hitters. Will start stalling a little bit, pawing around there. Don't just give him, because when you can have this real effective and efficient inning this deep in the game, that almost allows you, if given the opportunity, for the complete game.
Only at 74 pitches thus far from Mulder. First pitch, a strike to Ryan Howard, who was hit into a double play. The Cardinals have turned 2 tonight And Howard has also grounded out to first, 0 for 2. Howard set a record for the Phillies this spring for home runs. The reigning Rookie of the Year. And 41 extra base hits, Al, in just 88 games a season ago. Base hit. Snaps the string of 6 straight by Mulder. A 2-out hit for Ryan Howard and brings in David Bell. Easter Sunday afternoon, the Cardinals will take on the Reds. You can bring your family down, and all fans 15 and under with a paid admission receive a new era of Cardinals baseball t-shirt. Compliments of Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of the Cardinals, and shop and save. Log on to stlcardinals.com and click on the Prime Seat Club for more information. First pitch down and away to David Bell, who's 0 for 2.
Talked to David at the bank age, and I said, I just looked up and saw your dad's team, and they're back in swing of things. Kansas City loses to Detroit 14-3. And he said, I just looked the same thing. Went out and spent some money, but some of the same results.
Mark Grudzielanek, Reggie Sanders, Doug McCavage. Kansas City is 0-2. That's drilled down the left field line, and this game is tied. David Bell, a 2-run homer. And it's 3-3.
That's what I was talking about. You hit a ball, line drive to left field, it will go, even with the wind blowing from left to right. But I think when you look at this location, it won't be exactly where you wanted it. Watch Molina's glove. It really doesn't change, but the ball is up in the zone a little bit, wanted it further away, and he just jumped on it. You've been alluding to it all night. Those stranded runners Cardinals have left on are beginning to haunt them.
Cardinals have left 8 on tonight.
Then line drive, just jumps on it, and that wind wasn't going to change that one.
I believe that's the same fan that picked up the Pujols ball as well down in left field corner.
It is. I think he liked the first one better, wearing the Cardinal uniform.
So we're all knotted up at 3-3. Ground ball to Miles. This should do it. And the kid in front, the Cardinal fan, gave the home run ball by Bell to the Phillies fan. The city of brotherly love. Here in Philly, and we're tied up at 3 in the top of the 8th as Skip Schumacher will lead it off. He is homer tonight. Pujols is homer tonight for the Cardinals. And David Bell in the bottom of the 7th tied it up with a 2-run homer. It's 3-3 here in the 8th. This will be the second inning of work for Ryan Franklin. No activity in the Cardinals bullpen, and it's a swing and a miss by Schumacher, who homered to right field his first time up.
Ball was supposed to be on the inner part of the plate. They just didn't think he was going to jump on it and hit it out.
Schumacher, a couple of runs scored. He is also singled tonight. Here comes the 0-1. Cardinals have Schumacher, Molina, and Miles, and then Mulder. Outfield is straight away. Cardinals scored their runs off of Brett Myers. 5 innings pitched, the starter for the Phillies. 3 runs allowed on 5 hits. Then we saw Jeff Geary for an inning of work, scoreless relief. And now Ryan Franklin in his second inning. After tomorrow's game, we head to the Windy City of Chicago. After that, we open up the new ballpark.
A lot of fun. Got a pretty good extravaganza going on opening day right here on FSN.
Long pregame show.
Rumor is 4 hours worth.
Is that right?
Yeah. Glad you're a part of it.
Are you producing?
No.
Schumacher hits it out to center for the first out. Friday night, get a look around the major leagues with the FSN Baseball Report. We're covering every team all season long with highlights, interviews, and analysis that you won't get anywhere else. FSN Baseball Report, Friday at 6, only on FSN Midwest. Here's Molina. Sparse crowd tonight after the sellout on Monday afternoon.
These Phillies only finished being a playoff team by 1 game, but they were spent a lot of time in last place last year.
Hot shot to Bell. Makes the play. 2 down. Brad Thompson is getting loose in the Cardinal bullpen. 2 outs now.
Watch these infielders. They'll get up on their toes, get their movement coming in on the ball. A little short hop, and then he knew he had plenty of time with Molina throwing. He could set himself. You see him spin the ball in his hand to get to the seams where it'd be an accurate straight throw. Once he could get the feeling in his fingertips.
It's cold, partner. Mulder is supposed to be on deck. We just saw him put the coat on in the dugout, so his night might be through. It looks like John Rodriguez has moved to the on-deck circle, and Brad Thompson continues to get loose in the bullpen. Aaron Miles has an RBI base hit back in the second. He's grounded out to third and struck out. 3-3 game here in the top of the 8th. 2 down, nobody on. It's 2 balls and no strikes on Miles. I know you really feel that the bullpen for St. Louis is going to be a bright spot, maybe better than some thought going into spring training.
I think it's going to take a while to take shape. My only concern is, you know, Dave Duncan wants 12 pitchers, so it means 7 relievers. And because of these guys
going deep in games,
I have trouble believing you can keep 7 guys sharp.
Sure. 3-0 pitch. That's ball 4. 4 straight to Aaron Miles. Second time he's been aboard.
He can walk.
There you go. So John Rodriguez will be the pinch hitter. Mulder's night is through. There's Braden Looper on the left. Dan Held, who is part of the Phillies organization, is a bullpen catcher and coach for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and then you got Wainwright behind him. I think I had a talk with Dave Duncan and with Looper. To me, Looper had a tough spring, but I think, and he agreed with me, because last year pitching in pain, he had the shoulder surgery, feels so good this year. He's just like he's just hasn't got into concentration mode. And he said, yeah, I walked in spring training, I saw the whole ballpark. Instead of tunnel vision down to just the, you know, the surroundings of home plate, and really looking at the catcher and looking at the glove and pinpoint a spot in the glove that you try to hit. It's just his concentration was the whole atmosphere, and that's just because he felt so good after pitching where it hurt all the time.
He also talked about his arm angle being a little messed up because of the discomfort that he felt last year. He had the cleanup surgery, and they corrected that, and his velocity was there. It was just
the
location
velocity's there. He's never really had a lot of movement on his pitches, so his velocity's there. He's got a split finger. He's got a breaking ball. He's got good pitches, and even with pain last year, 28 stolen saves.
Check on Miles. Kind of 1 ball, no strikes on John Rodriguez, who burst onto the scene for the Cardinals a year ago. And he is one of a handful of Cardinals that made the opening day roster for the first time in the major leagues. You would figure that the scout report on John Rodriguez has got to be no fastballs. I mean, you've got to throw him breaking balls, change-ups, anything off speed.
But as a pitcher, you have to believe your strength is better than a hitter's strength.
2 balls and no strikes. And having said that, if you are going to throw off speed pitches, then you might think about sending the runner at first.
Yes. You know, so Miles is going to get that good jump. The more that pitcher's out there worrying about the runner, it splits his concentration at the plate, more chance for a mistake going to the plate.
2-1. Rodriguez has been nursing that sore shoulder. Played winter ball and had a fantastic winter ball session. Came into spring a little dinged up and then hurt it right at the tail end of spring training.
John Rodriguez started to recognize the off-speed pitches and laying off it. Now, there were times where he just looked sick. Now, play him to pull. 3-1 pitch. If your best pitch is a fastball, you have to have belief that you can throw it by a good fastball hitter.
Here's a 3-1. And Rodriguez takes the ball outside. Now David Eckstein. And again, it is worth noting what David did a year ago with runners in scoring position. A .373 batting mark in 05 that led the majors. He's got a runner at second base. The Cardinals have left 8 on tonight. So first and second with 2 down here in their half of the 8th in a tie ball game.
5 walks from the starter, 2 consecutively here from Franklin. And there's what you're talking about. 2 outs, runners in scoring position. Can't get any better than .431. And a lot of big-time RBIs. And Mulder is the pitcher record.
Runners at first and second. The first 2, David is a ball. No activity for the Phillies in their bullpen. Brad Thompson has been getting loose for St. Louis. Eckstein tonight has been on base twice with a walk, a single. He's grounded to second and popped out to second. 1-1 the count. Miles at second represents the go-ahead run.
Play David to hit to the opposite field in center and right.
Here's a 1-1. Pulled foul. Over the course of time, I figured that these two had hooked up over in the American League West, with David with Anaheim and Franklin with Seattle, and David Eckstein just 3 for 33.
Yeah, but we got him where we want him. He's got 2 strikes on him.
You said that about Pujols earlier. He hit a home run.
David is a good 2-strike hitter.
The 1-2 pitch. Eckstein into the hole. Rollins diving stop. Bases will be loaded for Juan Encarnacion as Jimmy Rollins saved a run. Eckstein with his second base hit. 3rd time he's been aboard. And let's see if Juan Encarnacion can come through. He is stranded 6 tonight.
There's David with 2 strikes. Gets the ball towards the hole. Rollins was up the middle, and he does save the run by just keeping it on the infield, but he had no play. This is why, you know, you look at this second spot in the order, and Al, he's had some experience with the bases loaded.
3 grand slams, a near .350 average. Encarnacion came up in the second with runners at first and second, grounded out to end the inning. Same situation in the 4th, flew to center. Same situation in the 6th, and struck out.
But first time with the bases loaded.
Ball 1 with Pujols on deck.
Mulder a little more intent right now.
This looked to be a pretty easy inning for Franklin. He got a ground out
First
and
2.
a fly out. Then he walked the next 2.
And you're talking about the 8th and 9th hitters. 8th and 9th spot.
2-0.
The pressure's on the pitcher. A lot of times hitters in this situation, they think the pressure's on them. Bases loaded, 2 balls, no strikes. That's when you just sit back and relax.
Chance to go hack in here. 2 balls, no strikes. Encarnacion, a broken bat. Hit to second. Cardinals fan, the bases loaded. We head to the bottom of the 8th. All tied up. It's 3-3. This is brought to you by Singular Wireless. And the question about who would be the toughest test for the Cardinals in the Central, and you have voted. You've logged on. And it's the Astros. The Brewers, no surprise there. A lot of people believe they're going to be a big surprise in the National League Central Division with their young club, and a lot of those young players now having made it to the major leagues. Leading the way, young Prince Fielder.
What did he strike out 3 times opening day and something like 4 times yesterday?
It's a tough start.
Yeah, but he's got a lot of talent.
Ricky Weeks, and the shortstop is very good. Ned Yost finally got that franchise to 500 a year ago and trying to build on that. Here's Brad Thompson now into the ball game in relief of Mulder, who allowed 3 runs on 7 hits. Brad Thompson from last season, 40 games that he appeared in. His rookie year had a record of 4-0 and really pitched well.
Came up in early May and just threw strikes, kept the ball on the ground. At a 1-2-3 ninth inning and opening day, here's David DeLucci, who just was acquired from the ball club.
Cardinals had interest in DeLucci. 0-1 pitch. Hit to short, taken by David Eckstein. Low throw picked by Pujols for the first out. Real disappointing night for Juan Encarnacion. He's left 9 runners on tonight. The Cardinals as a team have left on 11, but bases loaded, a 2-0 count, and he gets his bat shattered. That's disappointing.
You'd almost prefer him to take a strike, because you can't really say, well, that was the pitch I was looking for to drive, and then break your bat in 2.
There's Rollins. You get a nice round of applause. Couple of doubles tonight. 38-game hit streak. Right-hander getting loose in the bullpen for the Phillies. They've used Franklin and Geary.
Is that Flash Gordon?
Yep. It's pulled foul. They've got Santana still down there from the right side, and Gordon. Kind of looks like Gordon getting loose.
He's their closer. Not quite Billy the Kid.
Picked up his first save for the Mets on opening day. Fouled back. 2 strikes on Jimmy Rollins. 1-2 the count.
Biggest controversy in New York right now is which closer gets to earn the song, their entry song.
Mariano Rivera or
Billy Wagner.
Enter Sandman by Metallica. I thought you were going to say it was the Chris Benson, Anna Benson divorce.
No, they're back together.
I read that
Anna
today.
wants to get back. You know,
I thought that was going to be the big
love
controversy.
And peace. There's love and peace in the Benson family again.
Baseball world was shook up about that.
Yes.
2-2 pitch.
That rivaled the Kekich-Peterson swapping wives and first and third children of the 70s.
I don't recall that one.
You were too young, but they had in spring training, 2 pitchers with the Cleveland Indians had a press conference to announce that they were going to swap wives, and it seemed like a couple kids and even pets were involved in the swap.
Is that right?
Yes. It was back in the passion of the 70s.
You'd love that era.
You think I'm kidding you? We got a close game here. Sinker call.
Here comes the 3-2 pitch from Thompson. Out to center. Edmonds backing up. Plenty of room out there. 2 down. You're in mid-season form, though, when you bring up that story. I thought at least at some point tonight you're going to tell me when you get booed, you find out about your family heritage. I was expecting that one.
Coming into Philadelphia and be greeted by a standing boo was always the thrill of my life. And like I said, found out an awful lot about my mother.
That's right.
How talented she was in places like this.
2 outs and nobody on, and here's Aaron Rowan. Brad Thompson, as we saw from a year ago, not afraid to go after hitters one bit.
And a little bit of a rough spring, but he's here because of what he did last year. Slider there, but you know, he just throws strikes. He doesn't have the best stuff, but he keeps the ball down. He lets guys hit the ball on the ground and let his defense make the plays.
1-1 pitch. Falkenborg had a shot to make this club along with Alan Bennis, who we saw pitch last night.
A lot more protection down there in the minor leagues this year than a year ago. And just think about it. Josh Hancock, who makes the team, comes out of nowhere. A gift from the Cincinnati Reds.
They said he was overweight. I must be missing something. He's a bigger guy, but he reported to spring training and they said he was too overweight and they cut him.
Well, they never say anything for the first couple weeks. But then they said he was 17 pounds overweight. And the story I got is the weight they kept on referring to was the weight when he signed out of high school.
Right back to Thompson, and he has an easy 1-2-3 inning. They got DeLucci, the pinch hitter, then Rollins and Rowan. Ninth inning coming up. Pujols, Edmonds, and Rowan due up to St. Louis. Good luck on a cold night here at Citizens Bank Park. Flash Gordon is in. Tom Gordon, the new closer for the Philadelphia Phillies. Record of 5-4 a year ago with the Yankees. He was the setup man for a couple of seasons in New York in front of Mariano Rivera. Albert Pujols is homered here tonight. Pujols a home run. He's grounded to short very sharply, fly to center, and struck out looking back in the first. Pujols, 2 games, 3 home runs. Cardinals have stranded 11. That's one of the stories tonight. Also, David Bell with his 2-run homer off of Mark Mulder to tie it up. And Gordon, Al, is no stranger to closing ball games out. Did so for a while with Kansas City.
Well, he's had experience. He has 116 career saves. Tied for a league lead in the American League with 46 with Boston back in '98.
This is outside. 3-0. Think about Flash Gordon. He had an amazing curveball at one time. It was as sharp as anybody's.
And we're going to shook it off here. Wants to throw a fastball down and away.
On 3-0, right down central. Misses location. You wonder if Pujols is swinging away. What happens with that pitch?
Well, but I think Albert is a good enough hitter. Obviously, he's a good enough hitter, but you know, he doesn't really have that much of a history with him, so you see a few pitches.
Outside, ball 4. Go-ahead run is on Pujols, and yet another walk by this pitching staff. It's 8 tonight. 5 of those from Myers, 2 from Franklin last inning. Here's Edmonds. 20 for 38 with a homer, 4 strikeouts against Tom Gordon as Edmonds.
If you would have ran up there. If you walk a man in the 9th inning, tie game, you're asking for trouble.
Strike 1 on Jimmy. Scott Roman on deck. Edmonds tonight has walked a couple of times. He's grounded out to first and fly to left. 0 for 2. Jason Isringhausen getting loose in the Cardinals bullpen.
Ball must have been down. Like it was over the middle of the plate.
They'll play deep as they don't want to see anything get over their head with Edmonds there.
Well, we better play deep for Edmonds too, but you're right. Nothing overhead that stays in the ballpark.
Right. Holding Pujols over there at first.
The way Albert runs, though, you get a ball into the gap. You know, even with nobody out, he will run through a stop sign to score the winning run.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. In there for a strike. Tom Gordon said that when he left the Yankees, it was a tough decision. They put a very good contract on the table for him, but this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to have a chance to be a closer and finish games out, be in these types of situations. The 1-2. Edmonds strikes out. Moves for Scott Rowland.
Well, out away from him, Jim totally threw by the pitch and kind of reaching for it, just hoping to get a little piece of it to get a better opportunity.
Roland has lined out to center. He's 3 for 9 against Gordon. Hit into a double play. Fly to center and grounded out. On a cold night, and you know that he's still nursing that shoulder a little bit. I mean, why wouldn't you bust him inside? If that's one of the ways to get him out. That was the book on him even prior to the injury.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Rowland, you know, is hanging breaking ball, which you hit for the grand slam, but if you can time up and in. I don't think a lot of pitchers today have the confidence to go consistently in. And remember, in this ballpark, the ball jumps to left field. If you miss trying to go in, you give a better percentage of that ball to be hit out and be a game winner.
Time call, 1 ball, 1 strike on Roland.
A lot of times you pitch in to get hitters out. You pitch in off the plate. Here's a slider coming in. And now they're going to get together, Lieberthal and Flash Gordon.
Cardinals closer Isringhausen continues to throw in the bullpen.
Izzy's had very few opportunities to pitch in close games. He only had like 1 save opportunity all spring, but he had a good spring. Didn't give up a run. There's a slider, cutter, whatever you want to call it.
Runner is going. Pitches a strike, throw down to second, goes into center field. Pujols has swiped the bag, gets away from the center fielder. Oquendo is going to hold him up. And Pujols will stay at third, and now it's a chance to put the Cardinals on top with 2 strikes on Scott Rowland. How about Albert Pujols doing it with the bat and with his legs?
Right now he's trying to explain why he tried to go home. There you see the stolen base, the error. He's paying attention here, sees the high throw, gets up to his feet, scrambles to third. Then Rowan misconnected, had to go back and retrace, but Albert at least looked back. He never watched Oquendo, and he made the right decision to go back. He would have been dead out.
Infield is in. The pitch to Roland. Squibbs foul. How many times have we seen, though, Albert Pujols run through stop signs?
Well, I even said it before. If someone was going to hit a double into the gap, you know, he was going to run through a stop sign to score, but you know, he's just so aggressive. He's got good instincts, but sometimes he tries to do a little too much. There you see, you know, Oquendo's sitting there going, wait a minute, you know, it's only 1 out. You got one of our better hitters up.
Oh, and Roland takes ball 2, and Gordon just stares back in.
Well, at least the crowd's starting to wake up and warm up. Lieberthal set up away, and it's outside.
Yep.
Clearly outside, but he hit the catcher's target high.
Big pitch in this at bat, the 2-2. Here it comes. Roland stays alive. Skip Schumacher waiting on deck.
Got the infield in for the play at the plate. Now here, does Flash Gordon feel comfortable enough to where he'd bust him inside? Pitch him away, away, away. Fastball in.
The 2-2 pitch. Roland grounds it to short. Play at the plate. They got him.
Looking at that reaction right there, you wonder if Albert and because I'm wondering with the infield in, why is he coming home? He's going on contact. You can't hold him back. But with the infield in, the ball right at the shortstop, all they have to do is make a routine throw. And they come up with the execution, and the Cardinals may have run themselves into a victory. I think Tony's saying right there, why is he going? Right?
I agree.
You know, with the infield in, you've got to let the ball go through.
Right. So 2 down, and now it's Skip Schumacher with Roland the runner at first base. Skip is homered here tonight. He's also stolen a base. He has singled. Been on base twice.
Remember what we're talking about. You know, it's easier, more ways to score from third base than there are from first.
1-0 pitch. Outside 2-0. Molina on deck. You were wondering, would they go inside with Roland, and they did. They tied him up.
Jammed him because he almost jams himself because he's so conscious of looking for the ball away.
2 balls, 1 strike.
They've got even. They're starting to think Schumacher more of a pull guy. You can see him flare a lot of balls to left field.
Seems like the majority of the times that we saw him pick up hits, he was slapping it the other way.
Right, exactly. I think that's his normal. He's a little stronger. He can do this, but I think he's still going to stay within himself and know that he's probably a better opposite field hitter, and they're going to try and pitch him away the majority of the time anyway.
The 2-1 pitch. This is in, and it's 3-1. Cardinals have stranded 11 tonight.
They did an awful lot with a little timely 2-out base hit. Slider.
Outside for ball 4. And yet another walk. That's the second in this inning. It's 9 in the game allowed by the Phillies collectively.
In the game, you push a good base runner and Scott Rowland into scoring position.
Molina tonight, a base hit. Struck out, he flied to right, and he's grounded out to third. Molina shoots this one out to left field. That ball is going to get down, and the Cardinals have the lead. Scott Rowland will score easily, and the Cardinals lead it 4-3 on a 2-out base hit by Molina. 4-3 Cardinals.
That's a nice piece of hitting by Molina. He has so much confidence ability. He just took he took a lot of pressure off the big man, Albert Pujols. Real control, disciplined swing. Got the breaking ball out there, didn't try to do too much with it, and with that second walk to Schumacher, pushed Scott Rowland into scoring position, and that's what Tony was looking for, a timely 2-out base hit. And look at Albert. He made a mistake, but he's never going to make a mistake not cheerleading for one of his buddies.
Gets Rowland off the hook as well. With a runner at third and under 2 outs. And he couldn't drive in Albert, but Albert made the mistake from third base running.
There's in the course of a year, you can say everyone's not going to come through in the clutch, but it's about picking up your teammates.
Now Miles trying to add to the lead against Flash Gordon. Aaron Miles a grounder. Howard, nice play to his right. Flips to Gordon. We head to the bottom of the 9th. And the Cardinals retake the lead on Molina's RBI base hit. The score rolling. Abreu, Burrow, and Utley coming up. Take a look at our game recap brought to you by Jack in the Box. Scott Rowland, his return to Philly, has scored the go-ahead run. A couple of great defensive plays as well. Pujols has homered for the 3rd time already in 2 games this season. Cardinals have been able to turn a couple of double plays. It was David Bell who tied it up in the 7th. Our Jack in the Box summary. And Yadier Molina delivering. All smiles down there in the dugout for Albert Pujols and the Cardinals. They lead it 4-3, and now into the ball game, the closer, Jason Isringhausen. 39 saves and 43 opportunities a year ago. His ERA was 2.14 last season, which was the lowest since 1999 for Izzy. He put together quietly a very good year, and now the best part, kind of overlooked in spring training about this bullpen, is the fact that Isringhausen was injury-free from the get-go.
Didn't have to rehab, wasn't coming off of surgery, and he had a very good spring. He allowed 1 unearned run, but he was pitching very effectively. A lot of times we see him go to spring training, he may not get an appearance until the last week or so. But Molina's going to try and make him get his first save.
4-3 here tonight. Cardinals on top. Tomorrow night we've got Blues hockey. We want to remind you, we'll come your way at 6:30 with the pregame show. We've got baseball in the afternoon as we'll wrap up this series from Philly at Citizens Bank Park. Hockey tomorrow night, 6:30 here on FSN. Bobby Abreu, the right fielder. Sacrifice fly back in the first. Grounded out to first and is grounded out to second. And the first pitch from Isringhausen is taken for a ball.
Izzy has a lot more weapons now, not just all fastballs. He's really mixing on his pitches. And his breaking ball was outstanding.
Fastball misses outside, and it's 2-0. Mark Mulder gave up 7 hits, 3 runs, scoreless frame in the 8th by Brad Thompson, and now it's Isringhausen.
His cutter.
The 2-0 pitch.
Abreu kind of looked like he conceded a strike right there. Izzy really worked on a lot of his off-speed pitches. Very effective.
Outfield is deep and straight away. 3-1.
Now we've seen the walks open the door for the Cardinals to take the lead. Now Izzy has to throw a strike. Cutter.
A 3-1 pitch. Tap foul by Abreu. Bobby with good power, 20+ home runs, 7 consecutive seasons.
He's just flat out good hitter.
1 for 6 against Isringhausen.
Counts full. He just throws a lot of hitters with his curveball this spring, but I'm not sure he wants to throw his first one on a 3-2 pitch, and he didn't choose to do so.
Here it comes. Hit left side, taken by the shortstop Eckstein. Long throw. Got him. Long throw for Eckstein. He came up.
Scott Rowland, I think, thought about cutting across, but he goes, I'll let David do it, and I don't want to get into sight lines. Abreu runs very well, and so a true test there in a bang-bang play.
So key first out of the way.
You usually get that first man. You've got well on the way. Cutter out here again.
That's a strike.
It's a strike, but one of those rare ones that Molina flat out couldn't corral it, and it goes off the umpire, but he still rewarded the pitcher. A lot of times they turn around, they get so mad. It's supposed to be a cutter, and it really doesn't do anything. Hits Chuck Merriweather in the mask, and he still gives him the strike.
Earl tonight 1 for 3. A year ago, 32 home runs, 117 RBIs.
Here's the curveball. This has been a great pitch, and look, he wants to bounce it. He has thrown some nasty curveballs in spring training. You put that with that cutter, and you put it with his fastball, and you know, he just has so many weapons to retire hitters.
1-1 pitch, low and away in the dirt. See where Rowland is guarding that line near third. Outfield very deep for Pat Burrell.
Some managers guard both lines. I never liked it, you know, with a right-handed power hitter up there for the first baseman to guard the line. Albert well off the line, but Scott Rowland is guarding the third base line.
2 balls and a strike. Utley is on deck. That baby's moving.
You know, see, they call him a cutter. It's really an old-fashioned slider, where the slider of today is really a slurve. It's kind of a real big breaking ball, a sweeping breaking ball. But a good cutter, a good slider only breaks an inch or two.
2-2 pitch. Out to center. Edmonds coming on. He won't get it. 1 out base hit for Burrell here in the bottom of the 9th.
Make them earn their way on. If they get a base hit, they get a base hit. Now you can turn the double play and end the game, but no free passes.
Double play can end this ball game. The Cardinals have turned 2 tonight. check in with Joel.
Well, guys, coming up right after the game on the Midwest Sports Report, we will go one-on-one with the star of the game. Plus, we catch up with Jason Markey as he gets ready for his start of the year, his first coming tomorrow. And Mark Lamping, his impressions of the ballpark, good and bad, after yesterday's exhibition game. Back to you guys.
So pinch runner now at first base for Burrell as Utley will dig in. They had Nunez, Victorino, and Pisano on their bench. Also,
Victorino.
The pitchers as well could be a pinch runner, but it's going to be Victorino.
Utley, remember he had over 100 RBIs last season.
He's got some pop too. Strike one. Season ago, Utley 105 driven in, and he had 28 home runs. Playing second base.
Well, Emmanuel loves his attitude. You know, he doesn't care about any of the fanfare or anything. Just, you know, let me just play baseball. I don't need any media attention. I don't need this, don't need that. I just want to be a ball player.
Little tapper to the right side. Pujols only play to go to the bag. He slides for it. That's out number 2. Runner does advance into scoring position. That's Victorino, the pinch runner for Burrell. Shane Victorino. He's at second base. And it comes down to Ryan Howard. Now you do have first base open.
Yeah, Utley didn't hit the ball hard enough for Albert to do anything more than what he did, and it took a nice play to do that. Dave Duncan will come out and discuss this situation with first base open. You got David Bell on deck. A lot of times you just discuss the scouting report on a guy. You don't, many times don't tell a closer to walk him or pitch around him, but you'll say, what do you think? You know, do you want to go after this guy, or do you want to go after the next guy? Or go and pitch to him, but this is where I don't want you to throw it. Keep it out of his wheelhouse.
Bottom of the 9th, 2 outs. The tying run at second base, and the reigning rookie of the year will dig in, Ryan Howard. Runners in scoring position. Monday night, or rather Monday afternoon, the Phillies 0 for 10. Tonight they're 0 for 2. First pitch to Howard, a bit inside and low for ball 1.
Hey, look at that pitch there. It looked like they're going after him.
First career matchup between these two, Isringhausen and Howard. 1-0 pitch. Outside 2-0. At this point, Al, you just think about you 2-0. You just say, look, we'll put him on first and let's deal with Bell.
Sometimes that is the option right there, because you don't want to make a 2-out mistake. But you got to give the benefit to Izzy that, you know, he's a veteran guy, knows and is smart enough to know what's going on around him. You really see how far off the plate Howard is. You got to be real careful. You know, when you go in, you don't miss. Now 3-0. That chance of them just saying, here's 4, but it don't appear they're going to do that either.
Swinging away on 3-0.
Well, I'm surprised, but I mean,
why not just waste it?
But I mean, that ball just looked like it was sitting right there. 89 miles an hour, usually in the cutter speed range for Izzy. Come back in. There's a cutter, ball 4. That is the first walk of tonight, and maybe the first, is that the first walk, second walk of the season?
So runners at first and second David Bell is homer tonight. That was back in the 7th with 2 outs, and it looked like Mulder was going to get out of the inning with a 3-1 lead. Instead, he homered down the left field line to tie it up 3-3. The Cardinals regain the lead the top half of this inning and lead it 4-3. 2 outs, runners at first and second. So the tying run at second base, the winning run at first. It's ball 1.
As a closer, you always feel you can retire every hitter. But in the back of my mind, I think Izzy wanted this matchup. Even though it looked like David Bell's 3 for 7 against him, this is the matchup he preferred.
1-0 pitch to Bell. This is in. Mike Lieberthal is on deck.
Izzy wanted that pitch. You see Molina kind of kicking at the dirt, but he has had his head down as he talked to Chuck Merriweather about that location.
Bell tonight 1 for 3 with that homer. The 2-0 pitch. Pulled left side and foul. Got a pitch to hit too. Had to come after him on 2-0.
At times, this cool weather like this, the first time of year, you feel like you're Superman. You feel like you're overly strong, but sometimes you squeeze the ball and it straightens it out.
The 2-1 pitch to Bell. Check swing, went around 2-2. Cardinals a strike away from their second win.
See Molina almost accentuating the point of making the hitter think he's going to feel presence inside as he almost stands up to kind of even make that hitter feel something inside, and then setting up away, and he couldn't stop his swing on the cutter.
Here's Ringhausen. Gets his sign. Runners at first and second. And the 2-2 pitch. Bell just got a piece. A pretty good pitch from Isringhausen.
Pretty good pitch, and an equally good piece of hitting just to stay alive. Remember how Scott Rowland, we've talked about how Flash Gordon was throwing breaking balls away, and then would he come in? Did he feel comfortable enough coming in? He jammed him with a fastball inside. What will Izzy do?
The 2-2 pitch.
He jammed him with a fastball inside. Third generation Bell.
Another 2-2 pitch to David Bell. Blocked by Molina.
That was a good call. I was waiting for when that curveball was going to come. Victorino
was between second and third, and wisely went back to the bag.
Well, I mean, it's a tough running game because he knows what he is, and he's trying to be out there and be very aggressive, but he's been well schooled on Molina's throwing ability. And when he saw it was in the vicinity, he retreated to second. Full count.
Runners off with the pitch, the 3-2. Grounder left side, rolling, fair ball, throws on the run. They're going to say foul ball.
Foul ball, but
foul ball.
Scott Rowland doesn't have time to turn around and find out what the third base umpire says, so just go ahead and complete the play. Right over the bag.
So the game on the line again with this 3-2 pitch.
Yeah, so when you get that 3-2 pitch, any base hit to the outfield automatically ties it up. Try to always avoid that running count.
Here comes a 3-2. Bases loaded. Two walks in the inning by Isringhausen, back to back. And now it's Mike Lieberthal with a chance to tie it up, maybe win it. A chance for Izzy to end it.
Yeah. Tying run, potential winning run.
It's Howard out there at second.
What will Lieberthal do?
Victorino at third. First pitch to Lieberthal. Swing and a miss, and a nasty pitch from Isringhausen. I mean nasty.
That is what it's all about. You rarely will ever see Izzy walk 2 in a row. But he knows where he's at now. He's got the heart pumping.
The 0-1. Ground ball. Weakly hit. Pujols there. Flips to Isringhausen. The Cardinals are 2-0. St. Louis wins it 4-3. Made it interesting, but the Cardinals hold on for the 4-3 win.
Fun ball game. Anytime both these clubs go down to the final at bat and have it. How about that play of the game?
That's your Budweiser play of the game, as Yadier Molina would drive in the winning run with 2 outs in the top of the 9th. All smiles down there in that dugout as the Cardinals are now 2-0 to start the season. 4-3 the final. Back to wrap it up in a moment. 4-9-0 for St. Louis, 3-8-1 for Philadelphia. Tom Gordon takes a loss. He's 0-1. Brad Thompson 1-0. Jason Isringhausen, his first save of the season. Time of the game 2 hours and 52 minutes and an attendance of 20,557. So a good start here, Al. They're now 2-0.
Well, it really was a well-played game. Of course, they had missed opportunities, but Schumacher get that base hit and a good quality team win.
Cardinal Baseball is a production of Bud Sports and an exclusive presentation of FSN Midwest. Next Cardinals broadcast will be tomorrow. We'll come your way at 1:30 with the pregame show. The Midwest Sports Report is coming up next for Al Hrabosky and Joel Goldberg. I'm Dan McLaughlin. So long for just a little bit.